I'm Darcy of Darcy Proctor Wellness. So about a month ago, I posted a picture of my kids devouring kale chips. And I had such a huge response that I decided to put this little video together all about kale. So I think kale kind of gets a little bad rap because people are afraid of it. Unless you're really into the health and wellness and nutrition field and have been eating kale for a long time. Otherwise, you're going to feel kind of scared and be like, well, if it's something that's that healthy, then it probably tastes disgusting, right? But I think really the issue comes down to people just not knowing how to use it. I know I didn't at first either. So I'm going to give you a few quick tips and some recipes to help ease your fears. So I've got two kinds of kale here in front of me. One the curly kind, and then this is another kind I like to use, which is called S.A.D kale or dino kale. It's got kind of little bumps on it that looks like a dinosaur. So I think the problem for a lot of people is that they may take this entire stalk, toss it into their blender, and make a smoothie that comes out not so smooth. Then they've given up on kale because they think it's this rough, chunky, nasty vegetable that ruins their smoothie. But here's your first tip. You need to remove this huge, thick stem. As you can see, the curly leaf kale has a very thick stem as well as a lot of veining, where the lacinato is a little bit less. So the first thing you want to do with either kind is remove their stem. And I'm going to show you a very easy way to do that. First, you just grab the end of the stem. Then with the other hand, grab just below the leaves and just pull. And there you go. Now your stem is off and you've got all your nice greens right here. So toss that into your compost. So then if you're going to put this into the smoothie, I still suggest you rip it into pieces just to make sure that it breaks down a little bit more, especially if you don't have a really high-powered blender. And then toss your little pieces in, and that'll make for a much smoother smoothie. I personally like to use the lacinato kale for my smoothies just because it does come out with a bit of a smoother texture. But it's totally personal preference, so try whichever one and go with that. The second tip that I want to give you is when eating kale raw. So I think people get a little scared, especially when they're having a kale salad, because again, same kind of issue, right? It's going to be really rough and tough and not really the kind of salad that you want to be eating. So the trick to making a salad or having kale raw is actually to massage it. Yes, it's going to get a little strict. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my lacinato kale here. Again, remove the stems just in the same similar way. Take your stems off. And then just do a little rough chop on it. I'm not a chef. I'm a busy mom. I don't have time for presentation here. So we're just going to do a rough chop. Put it in our bowl. And what you're going to do is add a little bit of lemon juice and some sea salt. And what this is going to do is really help break up those fibers. So here we go. We're just going to roll up our sleeves and start massaging. Yep, just massage the kale. And again, as you work this and the lemon juice and the salt gets in there, the water in the leaves is going to start to come out. So you want to massage for, about 5 minutes or a little bit less. You can keep massaging, or you can let it also sit on the counter for a couple minutes until you start seeing the water coming out. So we're just doing this fast, so there's not much coming out. But after you've done that for 5 minutes, then take your leaves and give it one last squeeze through a strainer here and let all that juice comes out, because you don't want to have a soggy salad, right? So now you've got your nice, soft, and tender kale leaves. I would add some chopped cabbage, some shredded carrots, put a little vinaigrette on it, and you'll have a delicious salad. Give that one a try. And then finally, for my last recipe, which is our family favorite, it's the kale chips. And this is what I had a whole bunch of questions about. For the kale chips, I like to use the curly kale just because it looks fun. So here I have my leaves that we did, and we took the stem off. And again, I don't have time. I'm not going for presentation. So all I do is just rip the pieces apart. I'm just going to rip them apart, put them on a sheet pan. You want to put them into bite-sized pieces. like that. Rip these all up. If you have any extra veins, tough veins that are still in there, feel free to take those out. But just put all your pieces on the tray. Now, one of the main keys to kale chips is that you need your leaves dry. So if you just washed your leaves, put them through a salad spinner or blot them dry with a paper towel. You really don't want them soggy or they're just not going to taste very good because they won't be crispy like a chip, right? And we're trying to go for that fake potato chip kind of taste. So make sure that they're really, really dry before you cook them. So I've got all my pizzas here, and what I'm going to do is then put some extra virgin olive oil on them. If you have one of those mistos that kind of sprays oil, that's a great way to make kale chips because then they won't get too soggy with too much oil on them. I don't have one, so I'm just going to pour it on, but I'm just going to very, very lightly drizzle it on in a very small stream here. Again, I don't want it soggy, but I want to make sure that all of my leaves are covered. So I'll put a little of that on. And then in my house, we just like to keep it simple, so I'm just going to put some sea salt on. But this is where you could really have fun with it. I mean, any spice is a go. If you're feeling spicy, put some cayenne pepper on it. If you want some Parmesan cheese, go ahead. If you're dairy-free, use some nutritional yeast instead. Garlic powder, onion powder, cinnamon, paprika, anything goes. It's totally up to you, so you can really have fun with it, whatever you're in the mood for. So once it's seasoned and you've got some olive oil on it, I just toss them really gently just to make sure that they're all covered with olive oil and their seasoning, and then spread them out. Try to keep them into a nice thin layer. You don't want them all bunched up on top of each other. And pop them in the oven for 350. Now here's the real clue. You have to watch them like a hawk. So 10 minutes probably is max, depending on how small the pieces are. So as soon as the edges start to turn a little bit brown, you've got to take them out of the oven. So watch them like a hawk. Don't burn them. Take them out, let them dry a little bit more. They'll crisp right up. And here you'll have delicious, crunchy kale chips. My daughter can eat a tray of these in about 2 seconds flat. So there you have it. Quick, easy kale snack in less than 10 minutes. Salad, smoothies. Kale is just an amazing powerhouse of food. I encourage you to all put it into your meals as much as you can. It's loaded with vitamins A, K, C, calcium, iron. It's great for detoxing the system, for anti-inflammation. It's just a powerhouse. So now that you have some tips, I hope I've eased your fears and you'll go put some kale into your meals in the next few days. All right, thanks for watching.